Thank you, Clyde. Next, ladies and gentlemen, we have Cynthia and Rick Cohn, who are friends and neighbors.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the Chamber on the best decision ever. In our family, we always understood that Jay was a very prominent part of Winchester, but we were fully unaware of the extent of his influence until our sons, James and Alex, became inseparable as kindergarten students under the loving watch of Mrs. Wolfe. Through many hours spent with these two boys, I learned the truth about Jay Gill. Watching two 6-year-olds understanding Jay Gill was something truly to behold. First of all, in our family, Jay Gill is one word, so it's used as in, you can try this, it's used as in Jay Gill and Mrs. Gill are coming over tonight. Or Jay Gill is picking up James. And this continues in our family. Jay Gill, all one word, okay. So here are the few of the indisputable truths that these boys believed, and maybe still do. Number one is that Jay Gill single-handedly built Lincoln School. I would be driving in the car saying, well, boys, don't you think that Jay Gill is a little young for having built Lincoln? No. So the building says 1903, so I'm thinking you're looking really good right now, Jay. Okay, the second one is that the only reason Santa comes for the tree lighting in Winchester is that after the Thanksgiving game, Jay leaves to go to the North Pole to ask Santa to come. I do believe I think that actually is true. And the last, and perhaps my favorite, when the town was suffering very, very serious flooding, which is nothing to laugh at, I took the boys down to Ginfield to see Ginfield filled up like a pool, and people were putting things in it, floating and things like that. So as the two of them gazed at this amazing sight, Alex turns to James and says, James, don't you think Jay Gill knows where the plug to this thing is? So now the 6-year-olds are 21, and a lot of things have changed, but one thing remains constant. Jay Gill is still our hero. Always. So congratulations, Jay. Good luck.
Thank you, Cynthia. Next, Liz Henry from Canterbury Road.
Hi, everyone. The only person I've ever met who is more punctual and reliable as my husband is Jay Gill. We lived next door to the Gills for about 15 years. You could set your watch by him. Pull out of the driveway every morning at 5:30, come back at 12:02 for lunch, go back out, 4:35, pull back in for the night, for the after work. But the only times he ever wavered from this was when we would have a snowstorm. Then we wouldn't see Jay for days. Except our street, Canterbury Road, was always the first one plowed and often. And that's one of the things we miss most since Jay has moved. As many of you here know, many of us here tonight, all lived on Canterbury Road together for several years in the 80s and 90s. Back then, Canterbury was still a little modest street of caves and small colonials. None of us had a lot of money back then, but we all felt so lucky to be living on this quiet, friendly street in Winchester. We'd arrived. At one point during the 80s and 90s, we used to joke that it was the most powerful street in Winchester because we had the school superintendent, the town moderator, the town assessor, and most influential of all, our DPW guy, Jay Gill. And for a period of that time, we had this magic summer tradition called the clubhouse. The clubhouse wasn't really a club and it wasn't really a house. It was a bunch of cheap plastic chairs that we would pull under a tree in the Malatesta's front lawn and especially if it was hot, because of course none of us had air conditioning back then, and many of the Canterbury neighbors would gather. And Jay and Jack and Dick Malatester and several others would gather and they'd talk Boston sports and Winchester sports. And, well, Suzanne and Susie and Leanne and me and Denise would sit there and we'd chat. We'd discuss schools and teachers and diets and kids. And by the end of the night, we'd solve all the problems at Winchester and all the problems in the world. All this, our kids were running around, playing flashlight tag, hide and seek. We didn't need babysitters. We didn't need a night out because we had each other under the clubhouse, under the trees on our cheap plastic chairs. The men drank beer, the women drank wine, well, some of us more than others, while we chatted and laughed a lot. Occasionally we'd have theme night. One time we had a pizza bake-off. Several families made homemade pizzas and baked them and brought them to the clubhouse, and I don't know who won. And another time we had the dance-off, and we went up to the Travellini's, and we had this, like, I don't know, like a little 4x4 dance floor set up, left over from some, like, home construction. And we had a boom box, remember those? And Jay and Suzanne did this throwback to Winchester High School with Jay's signature gator on the 4x4. But, in a minute, Jay. But that night, James and I won. And that was our best night ever. James and I, and we still talk about that was one of our, we went on to his way to fame and fortune. But the best night was the night the kids decided to play us. As I said, they were always playing and chasing and running around, and they had video games then, but I guess they thought it was more fun to hang out and observe us. So we didn't realize how well they were observing us, because when they put on a play playing us, they had nailed each one of us. And my most vivid memory is James, probably age 7, holding a wine glass, I think it was empty, saying, "Jack, get me another wine." And of course he was playing Liz Henry. I think this was the beginning of James's show business career, and we all know that he is going to make it big. We're still waiting. We are waiting, and we are all going out to LA, James. We're waiting. The clubhouse ended after a few years, and a couple of neighbors moved away. Then the Gills, still miss them so much. And we lost a dear friend and a key member, Dick Malatester, in 2007. And no one would have enjoyed tonight more than Dick would have together with all of us. On the rare special occasions that we are all together, graduations, a couple of the kids' weddings, they've grown up. At some point, we will still reminisce about the clubhouse. And every time one of us remembers them, those magical years of Canterbury, when our kids were young and we were younger, and life was, or at least it seemed like it was a whole lot simpler. And thanks to Jay Gill, Canterbury was always the first street to be plowed.
When I was told that I could finally say some things about Jay Gill, whom I've known for over 20 years, I was really excited. Then Suzanne Gill told me I could not use any profanity. So, although I am now somewhat limited by what I can say, I'll try my best. My family and I had the good fortune of being the Gill's neighbors. I'm not so sure they felt quite as fortunate since they put a for sale sign on our home one weekend when we were away. There were some other more sinister pranks, but thankfully for both families, my time tonight is limited. Tricia and I can't be here tonight because we are at the college graduation of our youngest son, Kevin. Both of our sons spent considerable time with the Gill family. They claim to be part Gill. We should all strive to be part Gill, because to be part Gill is to be kind, considerate, reliable, trustworthy, and always willing to lend a hand to a good cause. I would guess that so many of us in this audience tonight, in a time of need or otherwise, have said, "Call Jay Gill." I know I've heard it said and said it myself many times. My wife once found a skunk trapped in our trash barrel. My response, call Jay Gill. The baseball fields are flooded. Call Jay Gill. The Children's Theater needs construction help, or the Sports Foundation needs a new member. Call Jay Gill. We need a fundraiser or a block party. Call Jay Gill. It got to the point where one Christmas I was struggling to put our Christmas tree in its base and it fell over on me a few times. My son Kevin, who was about 8 at the time, looked at me and said, "Dad, call Jay Gill." The thing about Jay Gill is that each and every time he is called, he answers the call. No matter how late, no matter how tired, no matter how busy, Jay Gill comes through time after time. There's a reason why Jay Gill's photo is in every issue of the Winchester Star. He claims it's because he's the most photogenic guy in town. Some others say it's because he's always there getting the job done. Jay was a Winchester High School football captain who helped lead his team to a championship. And he has never stopped leading the town of Winchester. He has greatly contributed to making Winchester a world-class community that we can all be proud of. Like past honoree Dot Butler, who really has an unfair advantage because she can obviously clone herself and be 6 places at once, Jay is always there to help. Like all of you gathered here this evening, I am proud to call Jay Gill a friend. But I am even prouder of the Winchester community that has recognized Jay Gill's outstanding commitment, dedication, efforts, and love of Winchester, and so rightfully honored him tonight. I would ask if everyone could please stand up so that we can all call Jay Gill. Call him what he so richly deserves. Jay Gill, Winchester Citizen of the Year. Congratulations, Jay, and enjoy the evening.
Okay, the next gentleman, Paul Manganaro. I don't think they agreed with the gentleman count.
Good evening. First, I'd like to clear up some stuff. Mark Robertson still in the house? Mark, it's obvious that Jay, Pat, and myself are fat, so the fat jokes go over well. But tomorrow morning when we walk by your house and we pull you out of bed and kick the shit out of you, that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. And not to forget Chris Nelson. Chris, I heard the fat joke. I got it. I'm not stupid. I'm just going to have my 11-year-old daughter Amy come down and kick your ass down. And by the way, Suzanne, she's shy. She didn't want to come up tonight, but she's asked if everybody can return these to her afterwards. They'd like to use them at Jay's wake. Before I get started with my public display of love and affection for my dear friend Jay, I'd like to honor some past winners of this prestigious award. First, we have the legendary 1981 winner, Whip Saltmarsh. Next in attendance tonight, the 2004 winner, the ever well-dressed Doc Butler. And the 2013 recipient, Tom Howley. What else needs to be said? At this time, I'd like to call my dear friend Jay up. Jay, come up on stage, please. And most of you folks on your table have a little envelope that says, "Do not open." Well, now's the time you can open them. All right? Because, Costy, next slide, please. Tonight, we all heard about how hard Jay works, how he's relentless. But in honor of him tonight, I had these pins made up. It says Jay Gill, Citizen of the Year. And if you all would put it on, that would be great, so he can look at it over and over and over again tonight. Quiet. One real quick story about Jay. I turned Jay onto the sport of horse race a couple of years ago. We had this horse named Sage and Spirit. Fly him out to Chicago. Big race, $1 million on the line. We go down to the stables the morning before the race, and I'm talking to the trainer. And I told him, stay away from the horses. You know, they don't really like people that much. But when I took my eye off him, I look over there, he's patting Sage and Spirit at the stall, and all of a sudden I hear, oh shit! The freaking horse bit him. Yeah, and he got sick. The horse got sick. Didn't run good that day. And in honor of Jay, I wanted to bring Sage and Spirit tonight, but the Marriott staff and Kathy Alexander said no live animals, so I brought the next best thing. Can I have my crew come up, please, and bring Jay's next gift? Oh, yeah. We're going to put it right up here. You're going to have to get up on this. Yeah. Right up here, guys. Let's bring it so you can see the screen, too. Turn it around. It's not Sage and Spirit, but it's the next best thing. All right, give him a hand. Give him a hand up. I was bragging that I'd rip his pants. Whoa, slow down there, big guy. All right, now into my story about my friendship with Jay Gill. Here I am, circa 1976, just a little innocent, studious boy from Everett, Massachusetts, moving from the city to the big country. Look at that face. I come to Winchester and I meet this big bully from the country, Jay Gill. But we instantly become friends after he punched me in the stomach in a 9th grade versus sophomore football scrimmage. Our friendship from there just grew and grew and grew. Now Jay took a while to find his calling at the DPW, and I want to enlighten you tonight. As a little boy, Jay thought maybe the fame and fortune of Hollywood could call, so he went on an audition for the Little Rascals. But he got beat out by Spanky. But that wasn't gonna curb his appetite for fame and fortune, so later on in the years, he grabbed his friend Michael Blackwood, who's in attendance tonight, and they dubbed themselves Salt and Pepper. They headed to Vegas, thought they could maybe kill it on that circuit, but they ran into Davis and Martin. At that time, Blackwood had had enough. He took a whole different career path, I think, in crime. But Jay wasn't going to give up yet. He heard about this show in Hawaii called Magnum P.I. He went down there for that audition, 100 pounds overweight. And guess who won that battle? Never a quitter. Never a quitter. Jay came back. And again, went out and bought the best money a sweater can buy at the Salvation Army. And yes, that is Jay, 150 pounds overweight on the left, and thought he'd go give Mr. Rogers a run for his money. He couldn't dethrone the master, though. So this was a tough time for Jay, as he had to resort to maybe a life of crime. Al-Qaeda came calling, and soon after his capture, seen here, Jay was convinced by Suzanne to come home and be the father. He still had his Al-Qaeda hair sweater on, but he was a loving father, as you can see. And being the loving wife that Suzanne is, she talked Jay off the dark side and brought him back and said, Jay, you really have to try and make a living for this family. But I'll tell you what, until you find your way, I'm going to go to work, and you can be a stay-at-home dad. But after day one, when Suzanne came home to this, that was the end of the stay-at-home dad stuff. So, never a quitter. The Gill family met up, and they said, listen, there's a lifeguard job down at Leonard's Pond. the swim test tomorrow, and since we live there and you're familiar with the area, maybe you could get the job. So they said, all the people in the water, you can see the other candidates there. Jay's first step into the water resulted in this, and again, he was fired. So what to do, what to do? No lifeguard job, no life of crime, but he wasn't done yet. They thought maybe a substitute teacher job would be good. Unfortunately, Suzanne on the first day didn't wake up to dress him, and Jay thought this was an appropriate dress for the Lincoln School, elementary school substitution job. He was sent home immediately, and there was 3 police department people at his door within hours asking him about that dress. All right. The next one is where he finally found his destination and his calling. This is Jay's first ever DPW audition. They gave him the broom. You can see the focus and the intensity in his face. He wasn't going to lose out to those 3 other guys. And thank goodness for us, he did not lose out. To my dear friend Jay, it's been a pleasure roasting you tonight, but in all sincereness, you were most deserving of this award, and I'm proud to call you my friend.
Thank you, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a friend visiting the town from Florida who has been characterized as Jay Gill's best friend. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Mike Blackwood.
Contrary to what Mango said, I did not follow a life of crime, by the way. So, thanks, Paul. What an honor it is being here. Let me tell you, it's been very interesting for me, having left this town and come back and seen all the great things my best friend has done. For those of you, I know many of you in the room, so this is kind of like a little bit of a reunion and a little bit of a homecoming. There's people in this room that I haven't seen in 30 plus years, and it's very exciting for me to see you all. For the other half of you I don't know, I know what you're thinking. Who's that very dark fellow at the podium? I assure you this is not a DPW initiative. Like I said, I'm actually Jay's best friend. Grew up here in Winchester, started in first grade, graduated from Winchester High School. So although I don't look like a typical Winchester resident, I was one. And I must tell a little story about my friend Kelly Gill, about being not looking like a typical Winchester resident. Like I said, I left here, went off to college, live in Florida now, have a wonderful time down there. And, but I always come back for like special events, you know, weddings or something big that goes on in the town, where the old gang gets together. And Jay and Suzanne are also so kind and let me stay at their home. Typically what it means is a lot of those guys at table 17, Eric McNeely, Jimmy Gibbons, Daryl, wherever Daryl is, they drag me into this abyss of drinking and staying out late at night, and it just becomes a mess. So one particular time, Kelly was probably about first grade or so, and the guys over there just dragged me down, and they have me out till about 4 o'clock, and I'm on Jay's couch passed out, and I wake up in the morning and I hear Suzanne in the morning yelling, "Kelly, James, here we go, let's get ready for school, where's your hats, where's your mittens, where's your hats, where's your mittens?" And they go off to the bus, the door closes, and I'm thinking, oh good, I can sleep off this hangover, because tonight might be another big one. Then the door busts open. I see Kelly and a pack of little rugrats that look just like her. I keep my eyes closed. Kelly walks over to the couch as the rugrats stand behind her, all looking like the same, little pink cheeks, hats and mittens and everything. And Kelly Gill busts into, "See? See?" as she points to me on the couch passed out. Now, I don't know what happened at that bus stop, but I think the conversation went something like this. I have a non-typical Winchester resident sleeping on my couch. They called BS, and Kelly, hope I did you proud in show and tell that day. All right? Good. But it is so good to see Jay, James, Mary Alice, and Kelly. I've been a part of their lives since they were little kids, and just love those kids. And earlier today, when I was over at Jay's house, and we were getting ready to go buy beer for the after party tonight, Suzanne made a comment, Jay, this night's about you, Jay. And Suzanne, I have to correct you. For somebody to pack a room like this, with this many people that love you, it is not one man. It is the people around that man as well as that man. So congratulations to you too, Suzanne. It's also great for me to see the Gill family, Chris, Patrick, Bobby, Mary Ellen. I've known them a long time. I feel like I am a Gill, and sometimes I've known them so long. Just memories I have when I see them. Chris, I know, like I said, so much of you get a room like this is because of the people around you. I know growing up that Jay looked up to you so much, Chris. You were always the captain of every darn team you played on. We remember the great run you had against Woburn. I look back, I don't know if that was a run or if that was a lumber, but it was something. Patrick, it's good to see that you remember the community. You and I share the same barber. He's out of business now, unfortunately. And then Bobby Gill, Jay's oldest brother. Great story about Bobby Gill. Jay and I, like I said, have been best friends for 40 years. And I remember one time when Bobby came home from the Marines, Jay and I were probably like about 11 or 12. Jay makes the mistake of asking Bobby a question about girls, okay? Bobby, Mr. Marine with a shaved head, tough guy, sits me and Jay down in the kitchen and goes into an hour conversation about the birds and the bees, okay? Here's one of Bobby's great teaching lines in that reproduction seminar that he walked us through at the kitchen table in the Gill house. After you get your nut off. So Bobby, I know you tried to teach us, but for years I was horrified by that, and I thought reproduction meant that I had to get involved in cashews, peanuts, or walnuts, and it stalled my activities for many years. But luckily I rebounded and I was able to come back and had a little bit of success with some women along the way. So despite your teachings, I did okay. And then there's Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen is a thief of the Gill family. She got the looks and the brains, and the boys, they got, I'll get back with you on that. But in closing, I don't want to take up too much time because Dot calls me in Florida where I live, and she says, "Oh, Michael, you're coming from such a long way. You've only got 3 minutes to speak." Thanks, Dot. Thanks, you're all heart. But again, this has been really great for me to see a night like this from my childhood best friend and my manhood best friend. I can't tell you what it feels in my heart. Now, I'll share a quick personal story with you. About a year ago, my son, Michael Jr., won a very special award, and a lot of dignitaries in the Tampa community where we live said a lot of really nice things about him, and they brought a lot of people out. And it was a really special day, and that night, just like many couples do, my wife and I went out to dinner that night, and we were recounting the day, just like a lot of couples do when something big happens. We were going through everything that was said. And I remember that I broke out into tears, and my wife said to me, "Why are you getting upset?" And I said, if I could have made a deal with God for my parents, who are both deceased, come back for 1 hour of time to see what people said about my boy, that I would have made any deal at that moment. And I know, Jay, this is a special night, and I never had the pleasure of meeting your mom, but I know your dad, and I loved your dad so much. He was always so kind to me. And that's probably a deal you'd like to make. And I hope you feel solace in the words that I was told that night. Because there's, when you don't get to be a man like you are, Jay, and get a night like this, unless they're with you in your heart, and in your mind, and in your actions. So although they're not here in the physical presence, they're here in what produced this evening. So I just want to say in closing, I hope you find solace in that. I just want to say that I'm so proud of you, brother. In 1981, we named you the captain of our football team. It looks like since I've left, you've gone on to be the captain of this town. And thrilling for me to say, I just want to say congratulations. God bless you. God bless the Gill family. And God bless the people of Winchester.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I welcome to the podium Mary Ellen Armstrong, Patrick, Chris, and Bobby Gill.
Sorry about that. Hi, I'm Chris Gill, and I'm Jay's older brother. I'm going to share a couple of stories with you about Jay. I want to talk about Jay's greatest loves. You probably think I'm going to talk about Suzanne. Wrong. You may think I'm going to talk about Jay's kids. Wrong again. I'm going to talk about Jay's love of brownies. When we were younger, someone brought brownies over to the house. Now Jay was out playing at Leonard's Beach, and he could smell these brownies that far away. And he came running home. You don't get in front of Jay when he's running. You move aside. Jay got home and began searching the house for these brownies. See, in our family, you hide food because someone else will steal it. Jay started to tear the house apart looking for these brownies. He couldn't find them. The brownies were gone, and Jay was furious. Jay found out that Patrick took these brownies to a friend's house, and they ate them all. Not a smart move, Pat. Jay was enraged. Now he wanted to tear Patrick apart. I thought we were going to lose Patrick that day. The only way we could calm Jay down is we gave him some devil dogs, and we started to make a new batch of brownies. So if you need Jay's help, bake him some brownies, and he'll do anything for you. Okay, the next story. Another love in Jay's life was his big wheel. No, this is not another dessert. This is a tricycle with a big wheel in the front and a brake that allows you to spin around. Jay loved his big wheel more than anything. Suzanne, I thought he was going to take you to prom in it. Well, every morning Jay would get up, run outside, and jump in his big wheel. He would drive up Nathaniel Road, turn around, and drive down as fast as he could down that hill. He would turn the corner, pull that brake back, and do a 360 right in the middle of the street. It was an unbelievable sight. There was only one problem. Jay used to like to do this when he was naked. And I mean completely naked, nothing on. If we were lucky, sometimes he wore a hat. And I gotta tell you, this is not a pretty sight, okay? The phone would ring and one of the neighbors would be talking to my mother and say, Alice, Jay's in his big wheel and he's dressed in his birthday suit. My mother would tell us, go get Jay, get him in this house right now. Well, there was no way we were going out there. So what we did is we'd open up the door, and we'd yell out, "Hey Jay, we've made some brownies." And he'd come running back in. Okay, the last story I have, the last love for Jay, is the story about Jay's love for his dog, Gus. Now, Gus was an angry little white dog. Gus loved Jay and really nobody else. Jay tried but could not train Gus to do any kind of commands. But Jay loved this little angry dog. Well, unfortunately, Gus had a lot of medical issues. It required countless trips to the vet. On one trip, Jay got the bad news. Gus would have to be put down. It was a sad day for Jay. Now, you're probably thinking I'm a jerk standing up here talking about Jay's dead dog. Well, I want to tell you that Jay has replaced Gus with a 200-pound German Shepherd attack dog named Boomer. So, side note, if you want to bring brownies to Jay's house, I would tiptoe up the stairs, put him on the stoop, ring the doorbell, and run like hell. Anyways, let's go back to Gus. Jay took Gus home from the vet and wanted to give him one last day that Gus would never forget. The day started with Jay making a steak for the dog. Can you see Jay sitting at the table with Gus, both eating a steak without any silverware? He then took Gus for a ride, so the dog could stick his head out the window and enjoy the view. There was only one problem. As I said, Gus had medical problems. Gus was blind. So I'm not sure Gus saw too much that day. He then, this is a true story now, he took Gus for an ice cream cone. Keep in mind, Gus was a diabetic. I guess at that point it didn't matter. Jay might have been trying to accelerate the process, I don't know. Anyways, at the next Christmas get-together, after Gus had passed away, sorry about that, Jay gave us a container of Gus's ashes in a photo book of Gus. And I have it right here. True story. I carry it wherever I go. Anyways, Jay, I know you wanted Gus to be part of this special day. So, I brought Gus with me. And, you know, we tried to teach Gus a lot of things, but we couldn't. But we have to teach Gus 2 tricks. Here's the first one. Gus, stay. Good boy, good boy. And then his favorite trick. Gus, play dead. So Jay, and all kidding aside, you deserve this award. Winchester is very, very lucky to have you, and we are lucky that you're part of our family. We're very proud of you, we love you, and Gus loves you. Come on up and take Gus home. And by the way, if you want to get an urn like this, you can get it at Home Depot for $4.99.
Hi, I'm Bobby Gill, Jay's older brother. I just want to tell a couple of quick stories about Jay when he was younger. As a matter of fact, Paul put a picture up of the first story I want to talk about. One day my mother gets a phone call. It's from the neighbor next door, and she's saying, Jay's over here. He's running away from home. And that picture Paul put up with where he looked like Spanky, that's the way Jay ran away. He was in his underwear with a hat. But he knew what he wanted to do. He brought a bag of canned soups with him. He was going to eat. And so I had to go back over and get him. That was one of them. And by then he started wearing clothes. He wasn't running around naked, so we were kind of happy about that. The second one had to do with, we were playing street hockey in the driveway, and it was one of those winters where we had a fair amount of snow, so there were snow drifts on the side. And Jay was playing with us, and a couple of my friends were giving him a hard time, and anytime they got near Jay, they'd give him a hip check and throw him into the snowbank. Well, after about the third time they did that, George Generis is the one that put him in the snowbank. Jay got up, took his hockey stick like a hatchet and chased George all the way down a tough road. We calmed him down by giving him a couple of brownies, and he came back and it was fine. And the last story has to do with, I lived down in Washington, D.C. at the time, and I was coming back home for a training class. And my father hadn't told him that I was coming home. So I'm driving down Nathaniel Road, and there's all these cars all over the place. And anyone that grew up with my brothers, you're probably surprised if there was a party at 32 Nathaniel Road. But anyway, I parked down by Morocco School like I'm walking into the house, looking for my brother. And he comes walking out of the bathroom with a button of beer, and there I am. Well, he was kind of shocked. He didn't know whether to be happy or if he was in deep trouble. But Jay, I'm very happy, very proud of you today. You deserve this award. Very thankful that you're my brother, and God bless you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Patrick Gill. I'm the little brother, always going last, as always. But I have to admit, when I heard that my brother was Citizen of the Year, it kind of surprised me that the kid that I grew up had reached this milestone. So I called him up and said, Jay, how the hell did this happen? And he says, I don't know. I was at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and Pat Fortin stood up and said, Jay Gill, Citizen of the Year. Well, Pat Fortin owns a real estate agency here, and now that makes perfect sense to me. Because the Winchester real estate is in a unique situation right now. The prices of homes are at all-time high, and the inventory is at an all-time low. So I think Pat Fortin figures, I'll make Jay Citizen of the Year, and people want to get the hell out of here. It has worked. The real estate market has jumped 15% since he announced the award. But so the last few years, I'm trying to get my head around my brother and the kid that I knew with Otis, Gibbo, Blackwood, and Skunty. How does a kid that hangs around with these kids get to this point? So I started thinking back to his childhood, and I thought, well, what did he do that maybe there were signs there that I didn't see that made him get this DPW director job, and there were. Like most of you don't know, my brother invented recycling in Winchester. See, when he was 10 years old, he recycled every Playboy magazine from the dump to our backyard. And it wasn't just 5 or 10 magazines, it was enough to load up a flatbed truck. His organizational skills came in handy too, because he categorized them by butts, boobs, and the extra $5 you had to pay to see what was in that pile. And when he first got his first job at the DPW, if you guys, anyone who's grown up in Winchester will remember, the first recycling bin was magazines only. And that was because Jay didn't want to have to jump into the pit to get the magazines out of there anymore. One thing I have to admit about my brother, that he did have a reading disability when he was young. And today, if all of us, if you have kids and they have a reading disability, they have the Wilson program. Well, in the 1970s, they had the Penthouse program. Jay, was the first kid in Winchester that was coined a visual learner. But I do have a question for Suzanne. How the hell did those magazines work out for you? So, on another occasion, I watched my brother display his DPW skills at a younger age. In one night, my brother displayed his ability to be a community organizer, how to love thy neighbor, and how to deal with local authorities, all in a 5-hour period. When we were kids, my father had tickets to the Bruins game often. So when he would leave to go to a Bruins game, before my father got to the highway, my brother Jay would have 100 kids in the kitchen. Later that night, some kids from out of town showed up, and that's where things got a little bit interesting. Now that's where dealing with local authorities comes in. See, we were being handcuffed by the local authorities, and Jay had to convince them that it wasn't our fault. But the most important lesson that night was love thy neighbor. As we were getting handcuffed, one of the neighbors, one of the mothers, comes over and she's screaming, "You guys gotta learn, you guys gotta grow up, you're immature, you gotta grow up." So that's bad enough, but one of Jay's friends, and I want him to remain nameless, so we'll just call him Gibbo. He tells my neighbor where she should go. So at this point I'm thinking, you know what, maybe it's just better if we get arrested. Let's just go. But Jay, being the smart kid that he was, that he said to me, we need to go make it right with our neighbor. But at that moment, he also remembers or thinks about outsourcing. So he sends me. So I knock on her door, and as soon as she opens the door, she sees my face. She slams the door back in my face. So I walk back and report back to my brother that I think things went great. She didn't speak to us for 10 years. Ironically, the next time that she has to speak to us, it's her basement is flooding. Lennox is flooding, and her basement is filling up like a bathtub. So she calls the DPW, and she's stressed as you can possibly imagine. And she gets on the phone and says, "You got to come help me." And who's on the other end? Jay. So Jay wants to be a little ironical. He sends Gibbo down to help her. After that storm, she did move out of our neighborhood. There are some things that Jay had to learn, like building maintenance. Where did he get the wherewithal to give back, to the community and building maintenance? Well, to be completely honest with you, that was community service. See, my brother got in a little bit of trouble when he was younger. So his community service was helping Mike, the janitor at Morocco School, clean the school. But ironic again, that they became very good friends, and I think that was a very touching point at the beginning of Jay's relationships with guys from the town. But I do have concerns about my brother and his ability to handle the DPW responsibilities. First of all, they put him in charge of all these vehicles. I don't understand that. One night when he was in high school, he woke up Sunday morning and he couldn't find our family car. It was gone. So, being the brother, I go downstairs and say, "Hey, Jay, where's the car?" And of course he says to me, like any older brother, "What are you, moron? It's in the driveway." I'm like, "No, it's not." So he goes up, and of course we lie to my father and say it's over Steve Santos' house. So we spend the next 4 or 5 hours looking for this vehicle. So if there's ever a plow missing or a front-end loader, you're not quite sure where it is, check behind Stop and Shop in Winchester, because he thinks that's a good hiding spot. And I'm also a little concerned that my brother Jay is in charge of that electronic sign between Stop and Shop and the town pantry. Please, can we get one with spell check? I'm driving by one day and I see voting locations, S-I-O-N-S. I'm like, really? So, we need to work on that, because if it doesn't have spell check, then he shouldn't be writing anything on that sign. Also, street signs. And this is Mango, this is a true story, right? We're walking and what do we see? No parking here at a corner. Know what he's doing? He's sounding out these words. So, of course, it's got this Boston accent, so it's C-O-N-O-R. No R. All right, so you have to not sound out the sign before you actually make it. If you have to, there's plenty of people in the office to check with. Check with Gibbo. The one thing that I actually love about my brother being involved in the DPW was my father's love for what he did. It made him proud, of course, but it allowed me to get off the hook with my father. My father, when he retired, he was very good at giving us advice, whether we wanted it or not as kids, as you can imagine. But his true hobby, every man that retires has a hobby, whether it's golf or whatever it is. His was assistant to the DPW. So it made it great for me, because every once in a while he'd call me during the day, and tell me what I'm doing wrong with my life. And it was easy, because then I could say, "Dad, let me interrupt you. Do you see the pothole on Washington Street? I'm telling you, my car, I almost blew a tire." My father would hang up the phone, call Jay, and not be off the hook for the day. So that was always great. But Jay, in all seriousness, both of our parents passed away. And over the years, I think there's been many moments that my parents could look down on us and be proud. But I have to admit, tonight is probably their proudest moment. To have to have Jay succeed as well as he did, you know, and the most important part of it is the pride that he takes in it. We all do well, you know, we work hard, we all do our daily job, but it really takes, you know, a certain kind of man that takes pride in his job. He takes pride in his town. James, you and I talked about it the other night, that your dad takes a lot of pride in this town, and everything that he does, you know, it really does, he has his heart into it. So I appreciate that. Jay, we all couldn't be any more proud of you than we ever have been, and we love you. You've earned it. God bless you.
On a more serious note, I want to talk about Jay, son of Bob and Alice, brother to Bobby, Chris, Patrick, and myself, husband to Suzanne, an amazing father to Mary Alice, Kelly Ann, and James. Jay, I have known you and loved you your whole life. And I'm proud to say it's an honor to stand here tonight and pay tribute to you. I remember the day Jay came home from the hospital as though it was yesterday. I was 6 years old. Jay was the fourth of 5 children, my third of 4 brothers. My mother was in the hospital for a week after a healthy, normal delivery. Can you imagine? Those were the days. We grew up on Nathaniel Road. Most of you know that neighborhood. Nathaniel and Tufts Road are a development of small 3-bedroom colonials that each held very large families back in the 60s. 5 to 7 children in most of the houses. St. Mary's pastor used to say he could do the entire church census on those 2 streets. On this particular day, all the kids in the neighborhood were playing in what we called back then the wilderness and the sand pit, which is now where Morocco School stands. I ran back and forth several times looking for my family car to be in the driveway, anxiously waiting for Jay and my mother to return home. You didn't visit your mother in the hospital back then. You stood in the parking lot and you waved to her from the window. I must have run back and forth 5 times that day when finally the car was in the driveway and they were home. I went back to the wilderness and the sand pit and gathered up all the kids to welcome Jay to the neighborhood. He was big and beautiful, as he remains today. I sat on the couch next to my mother as she held Jay in her arms, and the entire neighborhood paraded through the front door, greeted Jay, continued through the house, and out the back door. Life was good. But things were not always easy for Jay. He faced many challenges in school, and then at age 9, our mother passed away. Devastating for all of us, particularly hard for Jay and Patrick being so young. But I have always said, she's been watching over all of us, but Jay and Patrick in particular. Jay continued on to Morocco School, on to McCall, where he played football and was captain of the McCall football team. Then off to high school, where he continued to excel in sports, playing baseball and football. One of his teammates told me recently that as captain of the football team, together with Gary Arrico, Jay was a great leader and mentor to the younger players. But I have to say, the biggest event in Jay's high school career was the day that he met Suzanne Demacunio, the love of his life. And after almost 28 years of marriage, she continues to be that person today. I watch them as a couple and as parents. They are truly best friends. They have a tremendous devotion to each other and to their families. It's truly a match made in heaven. Then we have Mary Alice, Kelly, and James. I have known them longer than anyone in this room because I was in the delivery room when each of them were born. Each delivery more exciting than the last, and the most memorable one was James. Suzanne had a C-section. When the doctor lifted James up and out and said it was a boy, Jay jumped in the air, threw his arms around me in a huge bear hug that only Jay can give, and then he hugged Suzanne. All that being said, being a father to the 3 of you has truly been Jay's greatest joys. He loves all of you so much and is so proud of the amazing adults that you've become. As a brother, Jay, I can only speak for myself. You are more than a brother to me. You're a true friend. Being a member of our family has not always been easy. Just ask my 4 sister-in-laws. But it means being part of something wonderful. It means you will love and be loved for the rest of your life, no matter what. I cannot speak about Jay, the son of Bob and Alice, but this I know to be true. Both Mom and Dad are looking down on you tonight, Jay, with such pride words cannot express. So here's to you, Jay, our very own Citizen of the Year.
And I'm the fourth brother, Mike Gill. I'm talking in honor of Mike Lynch tonight. Yeah, I wasn't able to make it. There must have been some big game, I guess. So Jay, this is to you. I joined this room tonight and thousands of other Winchester residents in saluting you as the 2004 Citizen of the Year. There are three types of people in this world. Those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that wonder what happened. Jay, you make things happen every day for so many people in our town. A high five goes out to you on this special evening. Everyone, Jay Gill.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Jay's son, James Gill.
I know you all just stood up and said, thank God this is over. But I'm speaking, and I'm looking around the room tonight, and I'm seeing so many people from my childhood growing up in this town. I'm also seeing a lot of people where I have absolutely no idea who you are. It's really nice to meet you. All I can say to myself is that you people must have some kind of money, because it was $60 per person to be here tonight. I told my dad, Dad, I love you, but you're not worth $60 per person. I'm here tonight because I didn't have to pay. I'm just kidding, Dad, you're priceless. I know that we all came here tonight for one reason, and one reason only, to see what Dot Butler would be wearing. I know that's why I came, baby. And Dot never disappoints. I love Dot, even though I always wonder who she likes more, my father or me. And maybe my dad by a little bit, but that's okay. We're here to celebrate another legend in the town of Winchester, my father. Many of you know my dad as Coach Gill, the DPW director, and the man you call when your oak tree falls down in your front yard. Some of you are still calling at 6 a.m. still, and I'd appreciate it if you'd stop. As the superintendent of schools said, I'm named after my father, James, and throughout my family, there's always been a confusion as to which James you're referring to. So about a month ago when I got a text from my mom that read, 2014 Citizen of the Year goes to James Gill. I was so honored. I mean, I couldn't believe it. That the Chamber, Mrs. A, and Dot Butler, the two loves of my life, would nominate me for this award. I can't tell you how thrilled I was. I'm only 21 and I received Citizen of the Year. Imagine what I'm gonna do for this town at 41. And then I took a mental step back and I thought, wait a minute, this can't be right. I don't do volunteer work. I haven't been to the Inca Parade in 5 years. I used to steal the hermit crabs at Town Day. I've never been to one of those women helping women events. I hear they're great, by the way. And finally, I've been living in Los Angeles for all of last year, so that's when I realized maybe it was my father who's receiving this great honor. No one in this room deserves this dinner more than my dad, and I'm happy to speak at it. There was an issue in my family as in deciding who was going to speak tonight. Mary Alice, right over there, she thought that she should speak because she is the oldest. She said, James, I'm the oldest. I'm the first one that made Dad a dad. I should speak. I said, that is the stupidest thing I ever heard. I told her, if you're the oldest, I'm the youngest. The baby. Kathy Flaherty, I know she's here tonight. I haven't seen her yet. There she is. She used to call me Sweet Baby James. And Sweet Baby James can do no wrong. That all changed, my dad said, when I turned 20. I was no longer sweet, just James. And then there was Kelly Ann. She sat my sister and I down and she said, I don't need to give a speech. Let's be honest, I'm the best looking one out of all three of us. So all I have to do is sit here and look pretty. So everyone, I thought Kellyanne will stand up tonight and we'll just admire her beauty together. You go, girl. Walk in. Show us your stuff. Jay Gill lives for this town. The man never left. He's a townie. I used to give my dad a hard time when I was younger because my family never seemed to leave Winchester. When we went to Woburn, it was like leaving the country. And then I realized my dad is just a 721 or 729 kind of guy. He grew up here, he graduated high school here, he got married here, and I'm sure all three of his kids were conceived here. And let's face it, he will die here one day. I guess I'm going to discuss what it's like to be Jay Gill's kid and living in Winchester. In life, there's positives and there are negatives. Let's start with the negative. Number one, he knows friggin' everyone. Hi, Jill. I have a rhyme for all of you tonight. It goes, wherever Jay Gill goes, he will see someone he knows. You think sophomore year of high school, you're gonna throw a party at 9 Squire Road and Jay Gill's not gonna find out? Mary Alice and I, we didn't even try. Kelly, of course, tried, and she thought she pulled it off. However, 3 months later, I remember my father went up to my sister and said, Kelly, did you ever throw a party in this house? And Kelly went, no, Dad, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, Kelly, stop lying to me. I know you threw a party in this house. She went, no. My father went, oh yeah? Well, I just got a phone call from 2 of your friends in high school and they said, hey, Coach Gill, I was just at your house a couple of months ago. Kelly had a huge rager, from which Kellyanne still denies to this day. Number 2, he is the most observant man you will ever meet. He notices everything. I, like my dad, I have an addiction to Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee. And one day I was pulling out of the Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru that I did every day. And I hit the purple pole that's in front of the drive-thru window. And I went, oh, shit. There's no way he's not gonna notice this. So I get out of my car and I'm in the driveway and I look at the door and the entire truck is smothered with purple paint everywhere. So it's 4 o'clock and my dad comes home from work and he says, so James, you care to tell me where all that purple shit came from in the black truck? I said, Dad, you know what? I've been meaning to tell you. I saw it this morning. I have no idea. He said, oh, all right. I lied. And the next morning I get a text, and the text reads this. You're the only one in this family besides me that drinks Dunkin' Donuts. I'm at the Main Street Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru right now, and I know you hit that purple pole. Who would know that? There are millions of Dunkin' Donuts. He does. However, there is some positives to being Jay Gill's kid and living in Winchester. You get out of speeding tickets. It's happened. And from 1998 to 2011, when I was a student in the public school systems, I can honestly say I was the first kid in Winchester to know if there was going to be a snow day. Some other positives is my father can be an easygoing man at times. I don't want to say by the time I got to high school he gave up, but let's be honest, I did get away with a lot. My dad's definition of a curfew was walk up the stairs quietly so you don't friggin' wake me up when you come in tonight. He never said to me, James, go shut off the TV and read a book. Let's be honest, it's not like you're gonna see Jay Gill at Barnes & Noble anytime soon. The Gills aren't big readers, unless of course it's a picture book. And when my prom night came along, after I had my tux and was getting everything ready for my big night, he told my mother, all right, Suzanne, we have to go to CVS. And Suzanne went, it's James's prom, what does he need at CVS? My father went, condoms. It's his prom, he's gonna need some rubbers. And of course my mom, as naive as she always is, condoms? Why on earth does James need condoms? To make water balloons, Mom. And I made them that night. There are many reasons as to why my father, too much, sorry, is tough crowd. My mom said, don't you use that joke, don't you use that joke. This is not LA, this is Winchester. There are many reasons as to why my father is this year's Citizen of the Year. One of them is his relationship with the DPW. He started at the bottom and worked his way up to director through hard work, long hours, and the ability to spot a pothole miles away. I know my dad loves his job with such passion. We were driving in downtown Lexington the other day, and he was looking out the window both sides, like so intensely, the left and the right. And I thought, what the hell is he doing? And then it hit me. I said, you're totally comparing, aren't you? You're comparing Lexington to Winchester. He said, you bet I am, and we have prettier flowers. My father has volunteered his time for many Winchester organizations, including being on the board of directors for the boat club. That only lasted 2 years, though. I think he got the message when he left one of the motor keys in one of the boats when he was back at the dock. That's when Doc Butler had him and my entire family exiled from the boat club. We had to go to swim and tennis. I'm just kidding, that didn't happen, even though Doc has that power. And finally, don't worry, I'm almost done. Some of you are sleeping, I can tell. And finally, there is the Winchester Sachems, the Sachem football team, the holy grail for my father and many of the Gill men in my family. To be a Sachem, to be a Gill boy means to play for the Sachems. Even I can say I was a part of the Sachem football team because in 6th grade, I was their water boy. There did come the time, though, when I told my father that I couldn't play high school football because it was the same time as the fall play, and I couldn't do both. I would now like to reenact for all of you tonight Jay Gill's reaction when his only son told him he would not be a Sachem football player. I remember it was in August, and my mom was in the kitchen, and I was coming back from like the two-a-day things, practices. What are they called? I don't know, what the hell? Sessions. And I thought, this is not for me. And so I come in, and my mom's in the kitchen, I say, Mom, I have something to tell you. I'm not playing. And Suzanne went, ooh, what are we gonna say? And I said, I don't know, I'm fucking scared. And she goes, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. And if, I'm not exaggerating, this really happened. I said, all right, you go tell her, you tell him. And I said, no, she goes, James, you tell him, you need to tell him. So I walk in to the TV room, I say a couple of Hail Marys, and I think I walked in and he was watching like a New England Patriot special, and I thought, oh, I can't do this, he's so happy. He is so happy. So I walk in and I turn off the television, and I say, Dad, I have something I'd like to tell you. I don't think that I'm going to be playing Sachem football next year, freshman football. And he went, oh. So you'll probably play your sophomore year. And I went, yeah, I don't really think so. I'm going to be playing football in a year, to tell you the truth. This was his reaction. 5 minutes. I said, Dad, are you okay? Are you okay? But like the great father that I have, he knew that I had a passion for the arts, and to this day has encouraged me to live out my own passion. Now stop it, it's wasting time. But my father should have known that football wasn't in the cards for me when during one of his games I asked him when intermission was. He said, you mean halftime? I said, yeah, intermission, same thing. I guess you have to blame Kathy Alexander for the fact that I'm not a football player. And Mr. Robinson, I just would like to tell you, I was not a tree in Kathy Alexander's plays. I was the lead every year. And then there came the time when I told my father that I was gay. Yes, everyone, I am. And my father said to me, he goes, you know, James, are you going to be bringing like a girlfriend home when he turns soon? And I said, yeah, Dad, I'm going to bring my girlfriend home. His name's Mark. And like the great father that I had, he has always supported me throughout everything, and I couldn't be more happier to have him as a dad. I just want to talk about, ooh, my speech got lost. I want to talk about the fact that my dad has told me to follow my passion, and he also said that I really would like it if you go to college one day. I said, Dad, I don't even know how to spell college, never mind go to college. So Dad, I want to thank you for all you've done for me, for encouraging me during the good times. I know a couple of days ago you said to me that you wish your mother and father were here. I never did meet your mother. I did know Grandpa Gill. And he is here tonight. He's looking down. So the last thing that I want to say tonight is not to you, but to my grandfather. Grandpa Gill, all the time people talk about, you know, who's your hero in life. And I know that you are my father's hero, and I want you to know that your son, Jay Gill, is mine. Thank you.
The next speaker is the last speaker, and it's Jay's daughter, Mary Alice Price.
Well, that's going to be a tough one to follow. I'm more of a serious speaker, so there won't be many laughs in this. I guess I could say I'm one of the few people here who knew my dad when his hair was darker, he was in way better shape, and he could beat Paul Manganaro or Mike Blackwood in a 40-yard dash. It's great to see so many people honoring and celebrating my dad as Citizen of the Year. Even though we are of many different ages and have all kinds of jobs and interests, it is certain that we have one thing in common: our admiration of a man who never quits until the job is done. That man, of course, Jay Gill. My father, the second youngest of 5 siblings, was born in an Irish Catholic family in good old Winchester, Massachusetts. He was born in Winchester Hospital, attended Winchester school systems, played sports for Winchester, landed a job working for the town of Winchester, met my mother, a Winchester native, and then got married at St. Mary's Church in Winchester, of course. As my brother, sister, and I would call it, he is the true meaning of a Winchester townie. Doesn't get much better than this, Dad, right? My dad can tell you anything about this town. He lives and breathes it. He knows the high and low places. Not that there are many low places in Winchester. He knows where to eat, to drink, to play, to escape, something that many of us do far too seldom. He knows what's in the newspaper before it's printed, and he keeps his hand on the pulse of the community better than anyone else I know. To him, there is no better town to live in. The most important thing that many people don't know about my dad is how wonderful of a father he's been to us 3 kids. He has taught us so much about life. But the 3 most important things he has taught us is encouragement, determination, and love. Our dad always encouraged us to be the best we can be. He teaches us to take chances, try our hardest, and to never be afraid of failure, because with failure makes you a stronger person and makes you learn from your mistakes. Determination is something my dad has embedded in us kids from when we were little. No matter what we enjoy doing, if it was sports, acting, or working in a job, he always tells us to never give up on what we love. My dad coached all three of us kids in many various sports. He never missed a game or a practice, and always told us what we needed to work on, even half the time we don't want to hear it. This taught each of us how to be a competitor, and any dream is worth catching as long as you work hard for it. Another important thing in his life are the colors of red, black, and white, the true meaning of a Winchester sachem and his beloved Winchester football family. My father coached football for Winchester High for 10 years. He coached because he loved the game, loved teaching, and wanted to give back to his community. And wanted to do whatever he could to get those Woburn Tanners beat by Winchester Sachems on Thanksgiving morning. I also think it was just another chance for him to stand on the sidelines with his fellow teammates and classmates to reminisce about the good old days. When he signed his contract as an assistant coach, my mother's siblings and I knew that meant a lot of dinners missed, long days of work, and our family's entire fall was dedicated to the football team. The term, he wears his heart on his sleeve, sure did shine through to my father during all those seasons. When Winchester lost, he took those losses hard. He took losing harder than Bill Belichick does when losing a Super Bowl game. But when Winchester won, it was a topic of conversation at dinner and for the next 5 hours after that. He has so much passion for football and for Winchester athletics. Mom, you're a saint for putting up with him during all those seasons. But in all honesty, Dad, you have to do something right as a coach, a teammate, and a player. Because if you take a look around the room and see some of your fellow coaches, teammates, and players that are all here for you and supporting you tonight, it's pretty amazing. Another great quality that my dad has installed in each of us is a love for your family. He has shown us that no matter what the situation is, good or bad, always stick by your family's side. He takes much pride in his family, especially his 4 siblings, 24 nieces and nephews, 3 kids, and a wife. Whether it be on the beaches of Florida, Maine, Cape Cod, or just sitting in our backyard, as long as his family is involved, that's all that matters to him. Growing up with my dad was the best, and we couldn't ask for anyone better. He taught us how to ride a bike, swing a softball bat, shoot a basketball, and tie our shoes. He also taught us how to embrace opportunities, treat others with respect, maintain your principles at all costs, love honestly, and the word can't is never an option. My sister and I are daddy's girls, and I idolize him in every possible way, and still today fight to be his favorite. But Kel, tonight I'm going to take that for the cake. My father's really very family-oriented and wants nothing more than the best for all of us. To me, he's always been the best golfer, the best speaker, the best coach, the best supporter, and the best father anyone could ever ask for. But he's never quite mastered the art of cooking a grilled cheese sandwich. Word of advice, Dad, melt the cheese into the bread before you take it off the grill. But luckily, his culinary skills have improved over the years. He's always been the best father anyone of us could ask for. There are 2 members of our family that are not with us tonight, and that would be his parents, Bob and Alice Gill. I can assure you, Dad, that they are looking down, beaming with joy, and are so proud of the man that you've become. And I can also assure you that Grandpa's probably keeping lists on all the potholes you've missed over the last couple of years. Dad, you have nursed many broken hearts as well as the occasional broken bone, but in every pivotal moment in our life, you've been there every step of the way. Thank you for always being our #1 fan as we continue to be yours. We love you, we're proud of you, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I'd like to introduce Patrick Fortin, who is the head of the Winchester Chamber of Commerce. Patrick?
Hi everybody, great job. Wow, it's 10 o'clock. I wanted to be home by 9. I promised my kids, and actually I didn't know how late it was, so thank you. Great job by all the speakers. I grew up in Winchester, was born in Winchester. My wife Katie's from Winchester, we have 4 kids, and I've never felt so lame. I mean, a lot of us are from Winchester, been here a long time, but You know, this is the right guy. Kathy's giving me a look because I had this long speech prepared, but I know she's already on the clock. Those of you that have been in Kathy's A world know what it's at. Jay, why don't you come up, because this is going to be your show in 2 seconds. I have a couple things for Jay that I need to do. I promised him a check for his tree program when we kind of tricked him into a meeting with Mike and a few of the guys, so we are going to give you a check. So great work with the tree program. Thank you. And the chamber did want to give you a token of appreciation. It's a family portrait from Cindy Ambrose, so you can capture all this crew while they're here, so thank you. I know he's the guy you came to see, so I'm going to turn it over to him, your 2014 Citizen of the Year, Jay Gill.
Thank you. Thank you. Did everyone in the back of the room sign the pothole list? As I heard the reason you guys got here, if you came and paid $60 to see me, then you move up on the pothole list. It's not happening. First of all, I'd just like to thank all of you for being here. That means so much to me and my family, really. It's an unbelievable honor. How about all these speakers tonight? Unbelievable. I just need to thank a couple of people, 3 people exactly, Kathy Alexander, Doc Butler, and Jen Gallagher for putting this big event together. Let's give a big round of applause. I'd also like to recognize John Sullivan for his 40 years of service to the town of Winchester, not as just a moderator, but the Board of Selectmen. Let's give him a great round of applause. John, thank you so much, and you've been very helpful to my career. I appreciate it. I enjoyed listening to everyone speak on my behalf tonight. I want to thank them for speaking. But the only problem is the town manager just texted me and said, Jay, I heard everything that was said about you tonight, and tomorrow morning, be in my office for an exit interview. Oh, we're going to have to speed this up. Okay, this is what I'm getting. Okay, I had a meeting with Bill McAuliffe, John Denizio, and Chief Abatelli. We had a meeting about what we're going to do with the renovation of the high school. And one of the questions I brought up is, when they take the bricks out, what are we going to do with the Sachem's logo? So John Denizio said to me, he said, Jay, don't worry, we're going to take care of this. Bill McAuliffe will be back to you in about a week. So what happened was Bill called me back and said, Jay, I formed a committee and we got the logo all set. I said, by the way, who was on the committee? He says, me, John Denizio, and Ken Abatelli. And I said, wow, okay. He hung up the phone and said, what the hell did we have these 3 people make the decision on the logo? We have John Denizio, a Woburn Tanner, that says it all. Bill McAuliffe, a Lexington Minuteman, and we have Chief Abatelli, who was a great football star back in the 70s, but ever since he moved to Woburn, he had 2 kids played for Woburn High, great athletes, sat on the Woburn side. I'm saying, what the hell are they making the decision for? So Bill McAuliffe grabbed me tonight and said, Jay, I want to give a big surprise tonight, and we're going to make this new logo. And what he asked me to do, to be the town moderator, and said, would you like to keep the Sachem logo, or would you like to keep this new logo? This is the home of the mountain lions. As you know, there's been a little scare about mountain lions in the past few weeks. And I said to Mango, I said, the home of the mountain lions, what the hell are we going to do with that? How are we going to put that in a football helmet? So I asked Bill McAuliffe, I said, how did this come all to tuition? He says, Chief Abatelli dreams every night, and this is the image he sees, himself as a mountain lion. So I just want to thank Kenny for all your help. This is going to be put up at the Winchester High School when we spend $130 million. $30 million for this logo. I just want to thank so many people. Like I said, the town manager wants to see me tomorrow morning for an exit interview because of what he heard tonight. I'm sorry, Richard. I'll be there first thing in the morning. Then Pat Fortin ran over to the police chief. Oh my God. We're going to have to do background checks on next honorees. This is really crazy.
I had the opportunity to talk to Tom Harley and Kevin Ryan, two past honorees, and they gave me advice, which to sit back and relax and take it all. Holy shit, did I take it all tonight. They both said, Jay, it's a wonderful night, and it's like attending your own funeral and listening to your own eulogy. Well, honey, do you want Paul Manganello doing the eulogy at my funeral? Paul Manganello doesn't even know what St. Mary's Church is. He's never been in there. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for giving me this incredible honor. Over the past many years, I've worked with them on numerous projects, but two of my favorite projects is one, the Christmas lights that we prepare, and I'd like to thank Mike Wise and his crew, does a hell of a job for 3 weeks at a time to decorate those lights. That goes to Mike and his crew. Thank you so much. The second is those beautiful hanging plants that I drive around Lexington, James, and say, wow, our town's better than Lexington, right? And it's so true. But there is a little story about this, and this is a true story. We're talking about all these true stories tonight. And by the way, everything was said about me, I know in the past, Arnie said, oh, none of it's true. Well, I'm just telling you, everything you heard tonight is true. Okay. The hanging plants, oh yeah, back to the hanging plants. Every year, one disappears. And this is the honest God truth. About a week, Mike, we talked about this, and I said, where the hell's this happening? But we now know the culprit. It's Kathy Alexandra. She puts it in the back porch every year. She steals the first one every year. So Kathy, we're on to you. I just want to let you know, I'm very fortunate to work with so many volunteers and committees who work so hard on changing the landscape of Winchester. Some of these changes are Sandy Island, Bellino Park, Sheffield Park, the new tile field, the playground named after the Stone family down Gill, and all the adopted island sites around town. There's two more committees that I've enjoyed volunteering on. It's the Winchester Sports Foundation, which is celebrating 25-year anniversary this year. That's unbelievable. Let's give them a round of applause. The second is the Winchester Field Development Council that I asked Paul Manganello to chair. He's done an unbelievable job. And between these two committees, we've raised over $1.7 million for the youth of Winchester. That's just incredible. So let's give them a round of applause for that. A new project that I look forward to working on, and I'm sorry that he's not here tonight, the Downtown Common, which will be named after Whip Sawmoss. We all know what Whip has done for this community, and we want to thank him for his endless dedication. All these positive changes were possible because of the joint effort between the town and private donors. We are so lucky to have a community that has residents who step up and are committed to the town of Winchester, aren't we? So we all should take a round of applause for that. I guess at this time, before my exit interview tomorrow, I'd really like to thank Richard Howard. Richard, you're the best town manager. I've been here with all 5 town managers. You're the best in 5. Oh, good. I'd like to thank Mark Tubert, the assistant town manager, and Bill McCall, the superintendent of schools, for all the support and guidance they've given me over the years. But most of all, I would like to take this moment to applaud all the employees that work for the town of Winchester. They are the most loyal, dedicated professionals that every day make this place, what Winchester is today, the best special place to live. So let's stand up and give every town employee a round of applause, please. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to work with all of you, police, fire, teachers, everyone. This is not just my world, it's all your world. And of course, the best department of them all is the Department of Public Works. All these employees are dedicated and take a lot of pride in their jobs every day. Some examples of their hard work and dedication is the response to floods, hurricanes, blizzards, water leaks, and the endless dedication to maintain the infrastructure in the town and the town buildings. I'm very fortunate to work with all of you on an every single day basis, and thank you for your hard work. In closing, I want to thank my sister-in-law, my nieces, and my nephews that are here tonight. They're very special to me, and my cousins also. I also like to thank a good friend of mine, Mike Black, who you met. He came all the way from Florida to be here tonight. It means so much to me, Mike. It really does. My mother-in-law, Mary, and my father-in-law, Al. And last but not least, my mom and dad. My mom passed away when I was 9 years old. One of her biggest concerns was that I was very shy and quiet. Well, Mom, after tonight, I don't think you have to worry anymore. Holy moly, Mom. And my dad, who was my biggest fan in my career, who loved the town just as much as I did, on a daily basis. He would call me for potholes, upcoming storms, but the biggest advice he gave me was to work hard every single day, be honest and have no regrets, and good things will happen to you. Well, tonight they did, and Dad, I'm so proud and honored to be here tonight, and if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have this award. Thank you very much. But in closing, the really reason I'm here is my beautiful wife, my high school sweetheart, my partner, my friend, and best friend. You're the love of my life, and you're the reason I'm here tonight. So thank you so much, honey. Really. Love you. And my 3 lovely children, who I love and so proud of you. And there's not a day that I say I'm the luckiest father in the world to have you 3 as my children. Thank you so much. And also my sister Mary Ellen and my brother Bobby, Chris, and Patrick. Thank you for always being there and supporting my life. In closing is, I really love this town. I really love my job. There's no other place I really want to work and volunteer my time. And it's not for it's just a job for me. And every day I wake up, I'm always looking for something to do to make Winchester the way it is. And by far, Winchester is the best community in the state of Massachusetts, all because of you. Thank you and have a good night.